Hi everybody, so this time we will be talking about dividing real numbers, and our goal will be to find quotients of real numbers. So just like with multiplying of real numbers, when we are finding quotient of real numbers with the same sign, the quotient will have a positive sign. And if we are finding quotient of numbers with different signs, then the answer will be negative. So both multiplication and division of real numbers follow the same rule. Same sign, the answer will be positive. If you are multiplying, dividing different signs, then the answer will be negative. Okay, now one extra thing about division is that the division that involves zero. This isn't an issue with multiplication since any number multiplied to zero will just be zero. But with the case of division, the quotient of zero in any number is simply zero. But the quotient of any real number and zero is what we call as undefined. So just remember, zero divided by any number is okay, all right? But if you have any number and you divide it by zero, not okay, all right? So that is not okay. So let's have an example for dividing real numbers. So we have a skydiver's elevation changes by negative 3,600 feet in 4 minutes after the parachute opens. So what is the average change in the skydiver's elevation each minute? So if the elevation changes is negative 3,600 feet for every 4 minutes, sorry, in 4 minutes, my bad, in 4 minutes. So we need to know how much is the change for every 1 minute. So for us to be able to do that, that will be 3,600 and divide it by 4. So that's 3,600 feet divided by 4 minutes. That will give us negative 90. Nope. My bad, that would be negative 900, I should say. Negative 900 feet is the change for every minute, okay? So we also have what we call as the inverse property of multiplication. So when we did addition, we have the additive inverse. So if you add a number and its additive inverse, the answer will be 1. Now in the case of multiplication, we have a number A. It will always have a multiplicative inverse in such a way that if we multiply the number and its multiplicative inverse, the product will be 1. And actually, those multiplicative inverses is what we, those are the actual term, but you also know them as what we call as the reciprocal. So pretty much you just switch the numbers that are in the numerator and denominator to find the reciprocal. So let's work with dividing fractions. So these are division of fractions actually makes use of the reciprocals or the multiplicative inverse. So in this case, we have x divided by y. The value of x is going to be negative 3 over 4, and the value of y is negative 2/3. Okay, so we know that it is going to be x divided by y. And if we replace our variables with these given values, this will now be negative 3 over 4 divided by negative 2 over 3. Now, what is the rule when dividing numbers, when dividing fractions, I should say? So what will happen is this division sign will become its opposite sign, which is multiplication. So this will now be negative 3 over 4 times, because we got the opposite sign of division, then we will also apply the opposite. And in this case, since we have negative 2/3, we will change it to its multiplicative inverse, and that will be negative 3 over 2. And now we have multiplication. So we have 3 times 3, that's going to be 9. 4 times 2, that's going to be 8. And because we are multiplying negative and negative, means that our final answer will be positive. And so our product is going to be 9 over 8. So here are some more examples that we can try out. All right, we have 5 over 6 divided by 10 over 3. We have negative 5 divided by 5 over 3. And then we also have negative 12 over 13 divided by 13 over 12. So let's work on the first example. So we know that we have to change this division sign. So it's going to be 5 over 6. Division will now become multiplication. And what do we do with our divisor? We get the multiplicative inverse. So that will be 3 over 10. And we multiply across. So we will have 5 times 3, that is 15. 6 times 10, that will be 60. We always need to simplify our answer. 15 over 60 is actually 1 over 4. And since we are multiplying positive numbers in here, then our answer is positive 1/4. Now, in the case of negative 5 divided by 5 over 3, that will now be negative 5 times 5 over 3 will now become 3 over 5. Okay, negative 5, if you would like to have a denominator for it, that's going to be a 1. And so if we multiply across negative 5 and 3, that will be 15. Because it's negative and positive, that's negative 15. 1 times 5, that's going to be 5. And negative 15 divided by 5, that is going to give us negative 3. Our last example, negative 12 over 13 times the reciprocal of 13 over 12. So that will be 12 over 13. And multiplying across, that will be 12 times 12 is 144. Negative times positive is negative. 13 times 13, that's going to be 169. And so, to summarize, the rules for multiplying real numbers are related to the properties of real numbers and the definitions of operations. And aside from that, the rules for dividing real numbers are also related to the rules of multiplying numbers. Thank you.